The Phoenix Suns had the most expensive roster in NBA history and didn't even make the play-in. They went all in on a big three of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, and it completely collapsed. There was little to no chemistry, no buy-in, no defense, and just no team balance. This offseason, Phoenix could have doubled down, could have ran it back, but instead they made the hard decision and they hit a small reset. And in my opinion, for the first time in years, they're finally building something that actually makes sense. They're younger, they're longer, they're leaning into defense, and it likely won't click right away, but this isn't a tank job. It's more of a course correction back to what got them here. Especially since they don't have their own 2026 first round pick. The question isn't how bad will the Suns be, it's more how soon can they turn this back around. At their best, the Phoenix Suns were known for their IQ, team basketball, ball movement, and even defense. And with a finals run in 2021, 64 wins in 2022, and 3 straight years of a top 10 defense in that time period, it's clear that it made sense and it worked. And then they decided to trade that identity for stardom. Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal to pair with Devin Booker, 3 isolation scores, and like I said, little to no connectivity, no defense, and just no team balance. They lacked a buy-in or a winning culture, a true point guard, and a dominant big man. And Booker, KD, and Beal's skill sets just overlapped rather than meshing together well. After those previous years of success, the Suns finished 36-46 and 11th in the Western Conference in 2025. They were bottom 3 in a ton of defensive metrics, 27th in defensive rating, and that's obviously with one of the highest payrolls in the NBA and almost no future assets. That's just about as close to rock bottom as you can get. They made some huge moves this offseason to try to combat that while extending and keeping Devin Booker. Now the question to me is, can the team bounce back before Devin Booker's prime is over? Vegas thinks they will struggle a lot this year. They have the 4th or 5th smallest win total in the NBA at 30.5. I personally think it'll go a bit different since they don't own that 2026 first, and I like a lot of their new guys. But let's dive right in. This offseason, they finally stopped chasing names and started building a real foundation. And it seems like they're really focusing on the identity and chemistry that a team needs to be great. I've been very impressed with their GM Brian Gregory's ability to build around this identity, and the first move was trading for Mark Williams. This is definitely a high-risk, high-reward pickup. He is an athletic, still young center that obviously has his injury concerns, but is just a great building block, and they gave up 2 likely late first-round picks for him. No parts of their core, so I like this trade. The big one, as you all most likely know, is Kevin Durant traded to the Houston Rockets. They got back Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, essentially ended up with the 3 players they drafted this year as well, along with some other things. The Jalen Green fit is clearly questionable alongside Devin Booker, as they are similar to Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, more so just ISO-driven off-ball scorers at their best. However, it seems like Booker will likely just slot in at that point guard, and maybe Jalen Green's slashing and athleticism just fits perfectly right next to Booker. We don't know that. And he's still young with trade value if things go the wrong way. Dillon Brooks should actually fit in very, very well. I expect him to start at that 3, provide his defense, provide his just grittiness. He might be the core of that grittiness that I mentioned coming back to this team. They had 3 draft picks. The first one was center from Duke, Kaman Maluak. He has amazing potential. He's still 18 at this point in time and 7'2" with shoes, I believe. Athletic, has shown some shooting flashes. He's very energetic and will play the game the right way. And the best part about this pick is that I don't think they'll need to force him into a role. They have Mark Williams starting. They have Nick Richards and even Oso Ighodaro, who I'll get into. So Maluak might be able to spend some time in the G League, develop, get some NBA minutes if he's ready. They don't need to force his development, and I think that will likely play out well in the long run. They then ended up trading up for Rasheer Fleming, the first pick of the second round. He was that classic first-round talent. I'm sure a lot, if not most teams, had him in the first round, but he just happened to slip down boards, and the Suns took advantage of it. He's a prototypical modern wing defender, has a 7'5" wingspan, athletic, physical, gritty, and he even shot 39% from 3 in college last year. I love him as a prospect. I honestly just love these types of prospects. But it's a great pickup, it's a great fit, and just like Maluak, he'll have the opportunity to battle for some legit minutes, but he won't be forced to play those minutes. I think that's the perfect situation to be with young guys. And lastly, they took Kobe Brea, who's a 6'6", just sniper, specialist, and even if that's all he is, at pick 41, that is great value and a great fit on this team. They also finally waived Bradley Beal, and he went off to the retirement home, the LA Clippers, who I actually think will be really good. But that cleared a ton of cap space and really confirmed that identity that the Phoenix Suns are trying to buy into. Another addition that Phoenix made was signing Nigel Hayes-Davis from the EuroLeague. Shout out to the Badger legend.
Gosh, he's beautiful. Did you hear that?
We'll open it up to questions.
He made back-to-back first-team EuroLeagues and was the 2025 scoring champ. I believe he could absolutely battle for the starting 4 spot, as he showed a lot in the EuroLeague, shot over 40% multiple times, and is a great two-way player as well. I am really intrigued how he looks in the NBA setting again. They also signed Jared Butler and Jordan Goodwin. These are 2 guys that the average NBA fan should absolutely not know. However, I love both of their fits on this team. Jordan Goodwin is just that gritty guy. He's not going to do much more than that, but he will provide energy, he'll provide defense, and he just brings that mentality that they were missing. He won't play that much probably, but that's a great guy to have in your locker room and to give spot minutes. Jared Butler is a fascinating story, and he's really turned into a true point guard. He's a pass-first guy, which they really needed, and there's a chance he works himself into a pretty big role this year. I'm interested to see how he fits. After all these additions, I see where they're going, but there are still clear question marks on this roster. They lack a true good point guard, and they also have a question mark at the starting power forward position. Devin Booker, Colin Gillespie, and Jared Butler are probably going to be their main 3 point guards. Booker is absolutely best off ball, and I would love to see him get back to that role at some point in the next year or two. Colin Gillespie is undersized, but he showed a lot of flashes, so maybe he's just the next great undersized Villanova point guard. I can't say he's not. I mentioned Jared Butler. I don't see him being a starter in this league, although he could develop into a legit backup. They need to figure out that backup spot and get Devin Booker off ball at some point if they're really trying to win it all, in my opinion. For the starting power forward position, it'll likely be a battle between Ryan Dunn, Nigel Hayes-Davis, and maybe Oso Ighodaro, but you can't have his spacing next to Mark Williams. Or if Rasheer Fleming really clicks, there's an opening for him to start later in the year, honestly. Jordan Ott is the Phoenix Suns' new head coach. He was the lead assistant on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and while there's not that much information out about him, he's known to be a very good player development coach, and it seems like a lot of the Cavaliers guys loved him, as there was a ton of congratulations when he was leaving. He wants to play fast-paced, which will be a great change, because watching this team the last year or two was just not a fun experience. And I think with their length, athleticism, tenacity, and fast pace, they'll be much more fun to watch. There are also clear question marks about the ceiling of the supporting cast behind Devin Booker. There's no clear number 2. Jalen Green is probably the second best player. However, we're really not sure how that's going to look. Behind Jalen Green, they just have a bunch of gritty role players. There's very few, if any, guys that can get their shot up and take pressure off of Devin Booker and Jalen Green's shoulders. But maybe that's just not the goal for this team right now. They just want to build the culture up really quick. A couple questions I have about this supporting cast. Can Mark Williams stay healthy? Can he be a solid defensive anchor? Will Dylan Brooks' 3-point shooting stay? And will he continue to buy in on that defensive end? Yes. But can he also be a big culture setter and a big leader on this team? And the rest of Phoenix's roster is just full of guys that I really like the potential of, but they have to show me something. Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro are 2 of the most underrated rookies of last year, and they perfectly fit that identity that I've mentioned about 5 times. It will be huge if one of them can take leaps offensively and really earn a role on this team, as that changes a lot. Can Colin Gillespie hold his own on defense and maybe even create some shot creation next to Devin Booker? I would love that, and as a fellow small white man, I love the stories of when the basketball players are able to overcome their size and athleticism through IQ and team play and teamwork. Just, it makes me so proud. For the category of players of they know what they have, I have Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, and Nick Richards. They're going to be good to okay NBA players. I wouldn't be surprised if any of those 3 got traded, and they're just good veterans, good guys to have around to help show those young guys. I expect the beginning of the season starting lineup to be Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, I'm going to say Ryan Dunn and Mark Williams. However, the power forward position is pretty clearly the biggest question mark, and I could see it being Nigel Hayes, maybe Royce O'Neal, but he's undersized. So I will say Ryan Dunn. So with this roster, where does this all go? My official prediction is 38 and 44, so probably about the 11 seed maybe. The culture starts to grow, but I wouldn't be surprised if early on the young guys didn't get as much run as all the Phoenix Suns fans want. And they're running Nick Richards and Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal for a ton of minutes. But I'm sure one or two of those guys will be flipped at the deadline or before that. And I expect one or two young guys to really break into the scene and make more noise than Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro even made last year. My main reason for going 38 and 44 is that they don't have their draft picks, so they're not going to tank. And they have a lot of hardworking guys. But not having a true great point guard next to Devin Booker just doesn't bring out the best in him, and there's going to be too much pressure on him. And I don't really expect Jalen Green to fit like a glove with this team. So 38 and 44. But say Jalen Green just comes in and fits like a glove and Devin Booker looks like a natural point guard, they could win 45 plus games, sneak into the play-in, maybe even the 6 or 7 seed because the West will be so bizarre. The more likely thing might even be that they have a couple injuries, finish as a bottom 3 team, and everyone's kind of freaking out about them a year from now. Fans and even Devin Booker just has to remember, this is a mini rebuild. It won't happen in 1 year. They clearly made some awful mistakes trading their core and identity, but I love what they're doing trying to build it back up. If players flash, if the culture flashes, if Devin Booker's able to really assert himself as a leader again, I think the season will be a success. Do you guys believe that current Devin Booker can lead a team as the guy, not just a co-star? I'm going to say yes, but I would love to see some growth this year. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be back in a week or two with the Charlotte Hornets breakdown.